Hey there, friends, creatives. It's me, Janine. I've been up to all kinds of shenanigans getting ready with my faithful assistant, Francie Jo. We've been making tutorials and planning and working and planning more and getting ready for this final reveal of something really, really wonderful. So join us. Are you left-brained or right-brained? Do you love diving through the office trash instead of doing bookwork? Join us. We've been rummaging through our own stash along with dumpster diving. Ready or not, let's go. Friends, kindred spirits, artists, creatives, junkers, dumpster divers, junk journalers. I'm I'm klutzy still, back with a creative, super fun tutorial how to make this delicious junk journal, literally from junk, as much junk as possible. So first I'm going to give you a little tour through this journal, showing you all the junk. I got to keep the flowers in the picture a little bit. I'm going to show you through, and then I'm going to very quickly also try to go through a supply list together with you. So this tie is from a video that I did showing how to take apart a rag rug, and I will link that to use for all kinds of beautiful things like this. It's beautiful and silky and soft and wonderful, and this is just a strip out of hundreds that I got out of one rag rug. So I'll link the whole video for that. So that was from junk. So here is the journal. So I shopped my own stash. I've been collecting ephemera and junk and doing dumpster dives and thrifting and all of that for, I don't know, 35, 40, 55, 60 years. A long time. I have a huge stash of wonderful, wonderful junk. So this first page is an old piece of paper from a book, and it's a pretty sturdy book page. I have a video showing how I do these tape image pulls. I will link that. These are one of the few things that are not thrifted. These are Tim Holtz little people packs that you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or on Amazon. This is from a lotion box, and I could not resist taking it apart to use it somehow. So this is Baker's twine. It's super inexpensive. Almost everything that I use, I try to have thrifted. So, or gotten at yard sales, estate sales, and things like that. So this is a stamped watercolor piece. I have a video that shows that. This is a gel plate transfer. I have a video that shows doing this exact one and how to make your own gel plate if you want to or need to. So here's the old book page. This is a watercolor stamp, shabbied up. This is a thrifted scrapbook page. This is thrifted washi tape, watercolor stamp, fussy cut. This is a tape lift, image lift, and there's a video I will link for that. Same thing here, and same thing here. Gel plate transfer, vintage photo negative, old paper, old manila paper, and a stamp for a lot of journaling lines, which I thrifted, but I did buy a really nice big stamp. Actually, this was thrifted. This was at an estate sale. So always store your stamp pads upside down so the ink stays up at the top of the stamp pad. So lots of these are stamped throughout so that I, or whoever, wants to have journaling lines. This is a photocopy off of my printer. Plain paper. Washi tapes that I had. This is off of an envelope. Okay, so now we're to the main ingredient. We are to the main ingredient of supplies, which is a trash bin full of envelopes. Junk, junk, junk. And the beautiful thing about these, and the reason they're worth going dumpster diving for, is because they all have amazing different prints on the inside and fun little windows for all kinds of different things. Little hide and seek, peek through elements, or making little pockets that have a clear little window. So they all have amazing different small prints inside. They're usually black or blue, which helps you figure out the beginning of your color palette if you would like. If you want a minimalist color palette for your junk journal. But they're all super fun, really fun privacy prints. And so I go into my husband's office and go diving through the trash. Really, really fun. They're all a little bit different, and they make great elements. These all say, please recycle this envelope. Okay, I'm doing it. And then I like to use either a letter opener or a palette knife to slice these open. And then I'm going to be slicing all of them open at the edges too. And most of them, not all of them, I will turn inside out. But not all of them, it just depends. And flip them open. So, dumpster diving for the key ingredient. And here we go. So here's one that had a full window, which is really fun, because then you can see through to the next pages. You could do photo albums, recipe keepers, commonplace books, junk journals, make an album for someone else. And anyway, it's just fun with everything peeking through. This is some of my old art paper. I dumpster dived or shopped my own stash and pulled out a couple pieces of my own art paper that I made for different things. This was one of the beautiful envelopes that a friend saved for me. Stamp old school paper. There's a video I did with 5 different tutorials, and this is a thermal image, and then I did a watercolor stamp on it, and that is all in a video that I will link. 5 tutorials in one. Same thing here. And a lot of these pages have the edges grunged and some fun sprays that I literally just left it open like this and squirted and sprayed with glimmer mists. I thrifted that. Distress sprays, thrifted. A distress stain that's like a little sponge rub-on thing. Thrifted. And that's how I did those edges. I tried 2 different ways. I spritzed some after it was bound, tied up together, and then I tried some before I bound the pages all up together. And I actually liked this better because the pages got more and more crinkly. And then I did put washi tapes all over the place. I love those. You can find those at thrift shops, or you can find them in big full packages at places like Michael's very inexpensively. They usually have a fun theme. Old book pages, old art paper of mine. Here's washi tape to make a tab, and I used the little tiny attacher with a tiny little staple. This is an old price tag from my shop, my vintage and antique shop. More washi tape, washi tape. This is one of my photos. It's actually from Napa of a vineyard off of a tiny little printer. Old journal or ledger pages. Old envelope. Here's an old playing card with washi tape stapled to make kind of a tab. Washi, old paper, spritzed. The thermal imaging video will be linked. The method for grunging up a magazine, a shiny magazine page, is linked in the same 5 tutorials. I just think that these codes are really cool looking, so I leave those or even save them and add them in. Art pages, Tim Holtz little people images. Those are so fun. And what I do with those to make them look grungy is I take an emery board and I just go over the edges really lightly and back and forth, and especially around the edges, and then some scratches to grunge them up. And then it also got spritzed and grunged and antique looked. If you know me, you know I like grunge and shabby and perfectly imperfect. This is another tape image transfer. These are all tags from my shop that I saved after things sold because I had stamped them previously. I had tea dyed them or coffee dyed them and then stamped them, and then they were a price tag, so I saved all of those. Here's just a torn piece out of a photocopied page. This is a stamp that I carved in an art class. Another really fun element is just to use masking tape, and you can grunge it up too. You could stamp on it. You could do all kinds of fun stuff. That's what this is. Old elements, old pieces, salvaged bits. Here's an old piece of the microfiche from like when we used to have to go to the library to look things up. Image transfer on tape. Watercolor stamp. Here's a tape transfer from just a photocopy. That's in one of the tutorials. Old book page, watercolor, grunge. The grunging up of a shiny magazine or catalog picture. Same with that. That was the catalog. Envelopes, transfer pull, watercolor stamping, thermal transfer. So this is perfectly free to do. It's really fun and you'll love it. Journaling lines, peekaboo window, layered washi tape, old price tag. This is from a catalog, a tape transfer, watercolor stamping image of a little camera. Old thrifted paper. I love to thrift old school and art supplies, office supplies, and art supplies. This was spritzed blue, and it's kind of fun because it was on here, so then it transferred here. These pieces of tape, I love, 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 and they were on a package that I got at Christmas time, and I was like, there's no way that I'm wasting this. So I pulled it all off and saved it all. It's actually in a tutorial that I'll link how I save tape and the transfers. Photocopy, thrifted scrapbook paper, watercolor, stamp, thermal image, the other side of the photo copy, envelope, old lace. It's just stapled on. I might have done a little bit of glue. And then it got grunged up as I spritzed things. I literally let the pages be open like this and I spritzed it so it would squirt inside randomly. Washi tape, old book page, part of an old, what was left off of a tape transfer. That's in that video I will link. So some things I just covered up off of an envelope in washi tape. So lots of journaling lines. And remember, this book could be anything you want it to be. You could just grunge it up, fill it up with shabby junk and call it done and just enjoy it, or make an actual journal out of it. Make a gardening journal out of it. Write someone a book in it. So I'm repeating everything that was on the other half. All the same things. Okay, and what I really, really want to show you that I love, love, love about this kind of journal that I do is I do not sew it or affix anything in any way. It's all tied together with whatever soft string or ribbon or whatever you would like to use that won't be too rough on the pages. It kind of needs to be soft and thin but sturdy. But this way, pages can be taken out or added in, so it can be adjusted, but it's all holding perfectly fine. So it can grow, or if you decide you made a mistake and you don't like something, then you can take it out, or you can add other things in. This is a photo I took in Charleston, and I played with it in a photo app. These are just the little sheets when we used to get photos printed back in the day, back vintage days when we were a little bit younger. You would sometimes get a sheet that had all of them on one sheet, a little reference. That's what those are. This is a paint swatch from the paint store. Thermal image, paint swatch, paint swatch. Some of that beautiful tape, gel plate transfer, old scrapbook paper grunged up, an old little bag that I had that I thought would be fun, and a place to tuck some photos. This is off of an old house in town. A photo that I took, and again, to grunge things up, I just go like this with an emery board and scratch up the edges, make it flat, and that's how I grunged that photo up. And that's the tour of the junk journal. And I had it tied up with this really soft satiny textile fabric that I got out of a rag rug. So now, just quickly, other supplies. Here's a sample of some of the tape transfer. The other ones were the big wide tape that I demoed in the tutorial. This is with the little piece, and you can go through catalogs, magazines, free things in the mail, and find phrases or letters or words that you want, tear a piece of clear tape off, and rub it on, and then scratch up a little edge and pull it off. And that's what these are. So these will be fun to use in my junk journal, my literal dumpster diving junk journal. So I shopped my stash, and I went through and picked out all kinds of fun things, my own art papers, things I watercolored onto old book pages, things I've printed that I thought were funny, just some doodling on book pages, more doodling, swatching when you're kind of playing around with what you want to use for your color palette. If you want to keep it minimalist or down to just a few, this is other art pages that I did with a handmade pen, kind of like a handmade fountain pen. And it's not supposed to be legible, it's just really fun. Other art papers I made, all kinds of random stamping and paint mess more of that random lettering with the Handmade paint nib. Here are some of the tape transfers. They end up still being kind of sticky, and they just make a fun element along the page. Even old photos, if you can find those. There's a lot of free, copyright-free stuff on the internet, and you can make a photocopy and then you can pull the transfer onto tape. That is in the 5 tutorials video, I believe. Anyway, they'll all be linked. So here's a bunch of my old tags from my vintage and antique shop that I saved, because how could you possibly throw these away? So here's a really fun envelope window for something. I thrifted a package of old labels, and I typewritered with my old typewriter. I typed things and then I made copies, and even better than that is you can copy them onto paper, which is actually sticker paper. So these are stickers. So I can cut them out and stick them on. It's really hard to separate, but there it is. It's sticker paper. So you can do it once and reproduce it over and over and have a ball. So here's a bunch of the little ones, and not all of them are stickers. Those are. As far as the thermal imaging tutorial, you are going to find out that it is thermal receipt tapes, and I will show you how to do that in that tutorial. This is a tape transfer, a tape pull out of a random catalog or magazine. Same with this. Here's the tiny little Tim Holtz people, and this one is shabbied up old playing cards, and I kind of peel them apart so they're not so thick. Here's some more of that lovely rag rug, yummy stuff. This is from a row of trim, a whole row of trim with those, so I just cut one off. Thrifted baker's twine, watercolored images, the negative or the microfiche pieces. You might be able to go to a library sale or something and get some old ones. Watercolor, stamping, paint swatches. This is off a beautiful box of lotion. Here's some more of my art paper. Here's from a tiny picture of a little castle we've been to. Here are some fun bookmarks that could be tucked in. That's just a master sheet of all kinds of papers and random paint things and stamp things, and slice them up and turn them into things like that. So old, these are still some of my old price tags off of the coffee. Couldn't resist, have to keep every fun little thing. I mean, even this had to keep. Even these were on Valentine's chocolates, and I could not keep some. So random little things, tags, fun little paper clips, a little charm. These are off of Bubbly Waters, and they all say fun little things, and those make great tabs for the edges, like turning tabs for some of your pages. You can staple them on, and they're so cute. So tape, 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 all of these washi tapes and spritzes, the stamp and the stamp pad, really whatever you want. The tiny attachers are just an adorable tiny little staple that is a Tim Holtz thing, and you can buy these and the staples at Amazon, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. Those are wonderful. Something to tear with. Some old or new bulldog clips to hold your book open while you're working. Just have something pretty nearby. Dried flowers from a bouquet. And then as far as some tools, something to hold them in, preferably cute and old. Something to cut with if you need. Some pens. You can have permanent pencils, fun scissors with fun edges. Pardon all of my ums and stuff. I'm not trying to be perfect. I obviously love shabby and perfectly imperfect. A bone folder is handy. A paintbrush, which I'm going to show you what that's used for in a moment. This is a fun tearing ruler. It gives you torn paper edges, Shabby. Or sometimes if you just need to tear something against a straight edge, this is handy to have. So all the basic stuff. So something I want to do on some of these pages is to kind of grunge up some of them. So I'm going to pour out a little bit of acrylic gesso. So if you wanted to use any of this as art pages, acrylic gesso makes a great base. It's what they use to prime canvases with, and it seals and it gives a tooth. So if you want to do some pencil drawing or charcoal drawing or even some kinds of painting, acrylic, watercolor, be careful and test things, but this gives a base and a seal and a nice tooth. And I just wanted to, totally missed the paper. So I just have a Shabby big old brush, and I like what's called dry brushing. So you get the brush wet and then take most of it off. And you can use this for grunging up, or you can use it when you want to make an area that's going to be for making some art or just some contrast. So I'm going to do this in several places. You can make an exact perfect space, or you can just make a scrappy, random, wonderful splotch, which is what I love. So I will be doing that throughout, and of course you have to let it dry unless you don't mind this, a little bit of grunge on the next page. You can use a piece of saran wrap or wax paper and put in between a piece of cellophane. If you are in a hurry and want to go, then just do that. But that's clear gesso. There's also black gesso and there's clear gesso. So you could put any one of those on any one of these pages and add a fantastic base or just a beautiful swatch of something. So now those are all of the supplies. And I did want to show you real quick. It is in one of the tutorials, but there are some amazing catalogs that don't cost much at all. And they're wildly, wildly beautiful. And this one has 527 pages of beauty and useful junking for... This one says $12.95. That was a couple years ago. I've been getting them for about $15, and I've seen them online for $30-ish. So I think people are catching on, but these are amazing. And so there's beautiful flowers, veggies, photos, recipes, but these are beautiful for a tape image pull. Let me see if I can get this guy. It's kind of cool. I'll do a... This is what happens with the big wide piece. This is a good thing to use your bone folder for. So I think that's really cool. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you can cut the rest away. And then this is how I store these sticky things. Either on a piece of paper or just on a clear. And they stick and they hold, and you can keep them nice until you're ready to use them. Otherwise, they'll stick to everything else. And now it's time. Let's do it. It's been a long time coming. Let's put this beautiful book, Commonplace Book, together. This junk journal, literal junk, trash, dumpster diving. And I have a whole other one to show you that is absolutely gorgeous. So let's finally put this together. Come along. So after you have chosen your envelopes, put them in order, added any other pages, spritzed anything you want, put washi tapes, and you can do any of that after this too, but then I decided to take my pages to my sewing machine and add some ruffles of torn strips of fabrics and things like that, old laces. And so I sped this up because I didn't want to take up too much of your time. But some of these are flat pieces. That was a selvage that had a really fun thing typed on it. So I left that flat. Some are flat and some are ruffled. Laces, all different kinds. And I do shorter ruffles and longer ruffles and alternate where they are on the pages. So I'm taking out one whole envelope and doing each side and putting it back in the signature. That way it comes out even. So I'm going to do, I think, about 3 whole ones per signature, either with little tabs or ruffles or flat, beautiful swatches of lace. And I use things that they're thin to begin with, so they won't be too bulky. And I'm using a big zigzag, and you can use whatever color of thread you want. You could use variegated and have it really colorful. Some people use black all the way through, and you can also leave your threads long and stringy and cute, or you can trim them all off nice and neat. But I just think these make wonderful, adorable, handcrafted additions to your beautiful, handmade, commonplace book. So there's a signature, and these are adorable little snippet bits. So I save all my little bits of especially small prints of fabric and lace and layer them up and zigzag them together, and then they will be used throughout the book for adorable little additions and tabs and wonderful things. We've gathered, we've seen a bunch of how-tos, tutorials in the months past that I have shared for all kinds of fun ways to make elements for a really literal junk journal, a commonplace book. I like to call it a commonplace book because what is a commonplace book? It's a book that you have a place to collect every favorite thing that is going on in your mind and heart at the time. So it can be notes, diary, journal, recipes, plans, artwork, sketches, photos, mementos, anything you want in a commonplace book. So that's what I love to call them. And I can't wait to show you the next one that I have all ready to finish up with you. It's to die for. It's so delicious. So this one is the book that I folded all of the envelopes, the main ingredient, this way. And none of them have to be even, and they can have funny edges and funny little loose pieces, which make it even more fun. These are pieces of paper and envelopes that I took over to the floor on a drop cloth and sprayed them wildly and madly with abandon with glimmer mist, glitter sprays, distress sprays. So they're all glammed up and all junked up and ready to use. So this size of book is folded this way. And you can have all kinds of fun pockets. You can fold them in or out. This was an envelope that had not been used yet, so it still has the sticky, and you could stick something onto that. So I'll move this out of the way. That's what that size was. The other size is larger envelopes that I folded the other way. So these were this way, and I'll be showing you one that is folded this way. So there are many options for how you can make your book. So I'm going to make a couple more to fit into the newest one, and I'm going to show you a couple of pages and adding fun elements. So the demo basically of how I dolled up all of the pages in the new book. So here's a couple of samples. So just remember, the sky is the limit, and you can fold anything the way you want. This will be fun because things can be added to this, because it's still the sticky strip. So bear with me while I glam up these 3 pages to slip them right into the new Commonplace book that I'm going to reveal after this. So let's do this one. So I definitely did a lot of washi tapes, and I don't always trust washi tapes because they can get old, I think, and not very sticky. So I always run them over a glue stick so that they're basically trustworthy. And these went everywhere and anywhere. I like to put things over things that I might not want to keep, or I like to put little old stamps or something like this. These are the labels that I've told you about. Kind of have to peel back the sticker. I thrifted these, typewritered on them. That's a new word, typewritered. And I shabbied them up, and it's printed on sticker paper. That way I have the original, and I can print these over and over and use them over and over. This is pretty sticky, so I'm going to put it right here. And I also love to use these. I have some washi tape. All of these wonderful washi tapes that I have, like I said, are thrifted, and these are like stamps. And I like to use a decorative scissor that almost looks like a stamp edge. And I like to layer all of these wonderful elements. So I'm going to put one on that and peel this away and do a little glue and layer this. And I like to even leave edges bent up. Let's see, what else can we put on this page? I think we will do a strip of envelope that I tore away from something else. And even when you do glue something down, you can even run your fingernail along it and rough up the edges and kind of raise the deckled edges or the torn edges and let it be shabby. So there's the inside, and it's just fun because you can peek through and see what's next as you go through the book. Let's add an old photo. So these are some of my old photos from around town, and you can use them to cover up things, or you could just leave that. It's totally up to you. But this is an old photo, and I actually cut it in half. I love to cut photos in half and in quarters and thirds, and they just make the most really amazing elements. So I showed you before, but I'll remind you that the way I rough up, shabby up, and age my photos, because this is a new photo of a place in town, is to take an emery board from Walmart for $1 and scratch over it just briefly, the edges especially, and then a little bit over the photo. And it is automatically an old antique photo. Okay, so we have something on each of the pages. I want to leave, I'll show you that through the other new one. I did a lot of spaces with the stamp that are journaling lines because you want to leave room for that. And I also did some gesso as I showed, so that there are some swatches for art, for drawing, for sketching or painting, because that seals the page. And now the back page needs a little something. So let's do a couple of leaves. Let's layer some leaves. And this is just some wrapping paper that I thrifted and then I grunged up. And this is just some tissue that I grunged up with a lot of the fun distress sprays and things. And let's layer one more thing over that. How about this? This is the watercolor rubber stamp elements that I have shown you. So let's layer that, and that's pretty. And then there's room for something else up here. So there's one page that is going to slip into the brand new journal that I'm going to show you. Let's do another page. Let's do this one. So here's a watercolor element that I stamped. I like to kind of straighten them up. And it's kind of nice if you don't decal or tear all the edges, just do a little of each. So that was a watercolor stamp, and it's pretty, and a nice contrast on here. Let's put it at the top and add, this is an index card, and I made a lot of price tags for my shop out of these. I like to tear them apart. You can kind of peel away at the corner and separate the layers, and that way it's not so thick and heavy in your Commonplace book. So let's kind of offset it and put it here, or should we put it here? Let's put it down here. So glue stick, it's nice and thin, and it's been torn apart, so it's even better because it's rough on the inside, so I think it'll really hold. Let's put this in the corner. I always get sniffles when my hands are busy, like doing dishes or like when I'm at the dentist for a cleaning, without fail. Sniffles. So let's use the back of that for some journaling lines, the piece that I just tore away. But first I want to cover up a lot of the stuff that's there. So I just tear off a piece of washi tape, and I want to cover that up, and then I want to run it along the glue. And you can use any kind of glue. You can even use Elmer's glue from Walmart. You don't need to use expensive fancy things, but I do really like to use a permanent glue stick, just for the sake of making sure that things will last really good. So I just use whatever I can find. So let's cover up, and things don't have to be perfectly covered, but just kind of covered. So let's cover this. And you could even do a bunch of swatches this way. That would take more time. So, and I don't even worry about covering the whole thing. Just be sure you get some good glue on there, because I like those loose edges. And I don't mind that you can read through that. I don't think anybody will notice later. I love this. Let's do this here. And just run it over, run it along. And then, so many fun. Let's do this for here. And that just makes a really fun decorative page already. And you could journal between it, you could sketch between it, you can add photos, we will add this journaling card, because I think these books should be used for journaling, for ideas, for sketching, for artwork, for remembering, for copying down a favorite poem. So that's there, and I think that's plenty for that page. And I don't even mind this, but you can cover it with a fun anything you want. Because as you have this and keep finishing it, you just keep adding what you would like. So it's a little something on the back. Or we could just leave it plain. You could just take a pen and draw rough journaling lines. I guess we could fill this in a little bit. So that one's done. So this is a page that's going to slip in, and half of it will show on one side of the book and half it'll show on the other side of the book. And then whatever this is next to, it's going to peek through to it. And then the last one, just for a demo, is this one. So with all of them, you can decide what do you want in and what do you want out. And there's the beautiful bicycle that I demoed in the watercolor with rubber stamps. I think I will put the white out and find something to stick along the edge. Maybe not yet. Maybe I will. I'm going to do a big piece of washi tape. That'll be cute. I'll do this. And it's already sticky, so I'm not going to worry about making sure there's glue on it. You just never know with washi tapes if they're going to still have their stickiness. But that had the stickiness of the new. I like this above that. I'm going to put that up there. And that might be enough for that front page. Maybe a stamp. A little old stamp. Or, here's one of my old tags. Let's do that. I should have a piece of old catalog paper here. An old catalog is great to use for doing all of your gluing on. And that way the page can get all sticky, and then you just toss it. There's one of my old tags that I had stamped and tea dyed or coffee dyed. Okay, now for the inside, this one has no windows. I think I'll do the other photo right there. I think I'll even put it up in the top frame, and then a little embellishment on the side of a watercolor element from a rubber stamp. This is a little old house in an alley in our town, right where you drive away from the thrift shop if you donate stuff. So I'm going to do the back page, and I'm going to do one of these stamps. Not very much. I'm going to leave, again, more room for journaling, but as I give you a tour through the newer Commonplace book, I will spill all the details. Let's see, we need a colorful washi tape. I love this one. It has flowers and adorable little birds with crowns and stuff. Maybe I will border the top Make sure it has good glue. Border the bottom. And they don't need fresh cut edges. A tear is fine with me. I mean, some people might want to make one of these books that's minimalist and really neat and tidy, and that will be wonderful. And I'm actually going to show you one at the very end of this quick demo. So here's a little stamp, and let's do this. This is a plastic price sign that they used to put together in the stores in the days when we were younger. So I have a whole bag of these, and I sprayed distress inks all over those as well. So that's what that is. So there's a page ready for anything, whatever you decide is next when you make your book. Leave some blank space. So I would like to add one of these little bits that I just zigzag together on the machine. I always save little bits, especially small prints of things. And sometimes these are from a tiny little keepsake quilts, tiny little swatch bundle. So they're tiny little squares of small prints. This is very old. This is antique fabric from an old thing that I took apart. It was a linen press that you rolled up, starched your linens and rolled them and pressed them. And then this is just another tiny print of really wonderful accent fabric that I love sticking into everything. Here's a bit of lace, and these make fun turning tabs. I think this one will go up here, and all I do is just staple it with the tiny attacher. So this is going to be too tall for the book. I should have thought of that. So I'm going to, I guess I'm going to let it be sticking up. I might fold it over like halfway. This is how we roll. That way it shows on both sides, which is really kind of cool. And it stabilizes the top of the page. So it is going to stick up a little bit, which I don't mind at all. I love it when things stick up and stick out like this. So this little tiny attacher, it's really neat. It has tiny staples, and they're this little. They're so tiny. They're so cute and fun. You get a lot in one box. And then it can reach all the way back into some things that you might be working on, which is really handy. I'm going to use this to help secure all of that, and I'm just going to go under one of the layers so you can't really see it, and staple. And one more, and go under a different layer and staple. And that's just a cute little bitty swatch bundle right there. And I'll show you that I have a bunch of those in I'm thinking of using that, but I won't. I will just let it be. So those are 3 sample pages of just ways to add all of the things we've done and collected and saved that I've shown you. The watercolor elements, old photos that you can grunge up, washi tape, spritz with really any paint. You can spritz and splash your heart away with watercolors or whatever you have. You could mix some paint and put it in a spray bottle and spritz. You don't have to buy those bottles of special things. It's fun when they're a little bit glimmery, but you don't have to have that. You can do it pretty darn free. You can even tap sprinkles with paintbrushes that are wet with paint. So washi tapes and all kinds of fun stuff. So these are all things I've thrifted, picked out of the trash, or got at estate or rummage sales. So now I'm going to take you through the tour of the one that I am making now. So here's the first one, which is very wonderful and lovely. And you can make any size you want. One signature with as many pages as you feel like it can handle. Tie it with whatever you want. I definitely secured something stiff, like an old tag, at the top of each of the cover page so that they're sturdier. This string is soft, but I don't want it to tear through too much. So now get a load of this. Drum roll. In progress. Are you ready? This is not assembled yet, and I'm going to show you slipping those couple of pages in that we did just now. But check this out. This is an old Reader's Digest cover. It's not going to fit. These are going to be higher, longer, but I don't care. It's not even going to fit on the inside. I'll tell you about the little, let me tell you now, the little handle. I've had these for a long time. I don't know if you remember Seven Gypsies or if they're even available anymore. I have several if anybody wants to buy one. But they're these adorable little doorknobs. And I shabbied it up with some gesso, which was handy right on here. And now I have another cute tag. And it is just a toggle. I don't even know what you call those, but that's what holds it in. So that's going to be my opening, and I'm going to attach this adorable little key with some charms on lace to close it. But let me just show you really quick how I just covered those little toggles. I toggled them really tight and covered them with a lot of glue and a little bit of washi tape. Okay, so I went a little crazy. This has 3 signatures, and I'm going to let it have 3 signatures. It's crazy. I don't even know how many pages each one has, but I had a ball and I could barely stop myself. So it has all of the fun, same things, and I will show you. First, let me show you, before I forget, how I'm going to attach each signature. I have this beautiful, beautiful, soft fabric that I got out of the rag rugs. So I have 3 strips, and I'm going to take each one and find the middle page. Let me slip these in before I do this. Here's the ones we just did. I'm going to put one in each signature. So I'm going to find the last signature and slip this in. And the beautiful thing, remember, about this way of binding, so-called binding, is you can change anything. So I'm going to find the middle, because pages can slip in and slip out. Finding the middle, I'm going to take one of these and loop it around twice and tie it at the top of the back of the book. And I don't want to tie them tight. Do you trust me? It's a little unwieldy, but it's going to work. So these are on the spine, and I'm just going to tie this at the top. It doesn't need to be tight. You could tie a bow, you could tie a slip knot. I'm going to tie a bow, kind of a bow. And there's one, and they can be adjusted. Then I'll do the outside one, the front one. Find the middle. And I better add the one we just did in this signature somewhere. Let's see. I'm going to put this one that we just did here. And I might speed this up. The bow is at the top because it's a little bit fumbly, but it works. Kind of have to tell it what to do, what's going on. You'll be able to adjust it all. I like the bows at the top, all floppy. And then I'll do the last one. So I need to add the last page that we just did together. And then I'll give you the tour. So here's the page. And I want to look where I already have quite a few things. I'm going to put it here. And there's the middle. And then you can make all the adjustments you need. Not too tight, so you can add in or take out. So that needs adjusted, but there's 1, 2, 3 signatures tied in with fun bouncy bows at the top. They don't fit exactly at the bottom. They don't fit exactly at the top. It'll be a little bit floaty and loose. So if you can find a book at the thrift shop that will fit what you want exactly, then do that. But this is the one I wanted to use. And here goes the tour. And then I'm going to show tying it up and finishing it up. So this book, I got to keep the front page, which I love this. And you'll be able to recognize all of the things we've learned. Tape pull. So this is kind of the story of my life for the last couple of years. I've been relegated to the rubbish bin, and I made lemonade out of lemons. So I took torn strips of fabric and zigzagged them along the edges of some pages. And I love the stringy strings. You can cut those off if you do this. You might not like the stringy strings. Some people do it in black. But I just love to layer the elements. The washi tapes, the watercolor, rubber stamping my photos from the local cemetery, the paper we shabbied up in the 5 tutorials video. And I love when something is oversized. I just fold it over and glue it down, because how beautiful is that? And this is just a scrap, and that's beautiful. And this is a crumpled up piece of scrapbook paper. I got it wet and crumpled it up because I couldn't go without it. So there's one of the thermal tape transfer, or it's not a transfer, but it's a thermal tape image. Tape transfer. This is off of a bubbly water can, and I just think that's really fun for a tab. And I just stapled it on. There's some gesso. And you'll just begin to recognize everything that we've done. Roughed up hollyhocks from my garden, leaves out of tissue and wrapping paper and envelope. One of the jars, and I thought it was just fun to set flowers on top of it. More fun paper, tape transfer, photo from a beautiful tree right outside of our library, old lace. So there's plenty of room for doing all kinds of other things. Lots of room for journaling, adding whatever I would like. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to use this, to actually use it. These can be a work of art in themselves, and you just fill it with things like this, or I want to use mine for a Commonplace book. And it's already filled with a lot of my treasures, excuse me, my sniffles. And I'm going to keep adding to it and using it and writing and journaling and using it for sketches and art and a commonplace book. So it's really, really full, really, really loaded, more lace, just zigzagged on. And as I go, I take something like a tiny little pair of scissors. So I sew a little and push some in to gather it, and sew a little and push some in and just keep gathering. So these are the stamps of journaling lines. Here's more of the little snippet bundles. And so this is right next to it, and I could easily change this if I wanted. You can move anything you want. You can take the whole thing apart and readjust all of it if you want. So there's the middle of the first signature, old negative, tape transfer. You're just probably recognizing all of it if you followed along with the tutorials that show how to create all of these things. More ruffle, I love it. This was from a tape transfer on a copy, just a copy sheet, copy paper, and this was after the tape was pulled, and this was still left, and I loved it, so I had to use it. So this page was too big, so I reinforced it with tape and washi tape and folded it over, and it made this nice little flap, and I added this cute little girl. And here's some of the magazine or catalog page that we shabbied up in one of the videos that is 5 tutorials all in one video, and those will all be linked. And more of that. An angel in our cemetery. I go take photos all the time in all the different seasons. So beautiful. They're old, carved. I was told they're Italian marble, and I choose to believe it. So you should recognize everything that's in here. And I like to sew a little zigzag piece of lace for a tab or fabric or whatever you would like. You can put anything on for a tab. And tabs can be at the top. And I forgot to show you this. This is just some scraps of fabric zigzagged onto a paper clip. And those are fun to have sticking out. Tape transfer. So this is the other side of everything I've shown you. Added some gesso so I can scribble, sketch, or anything I want right there. Really anywhere, but it's fun on gesso, especially with charcoal. So here we go. That's a photo of more beautiful blossoms in the spring here. This is the second signature, and you can see how cool the inside of that book cover is right there. And here we go, just moving through because I've already explained what all of these things are. If I see something, I will say. If you have a question, ask in the comments. So I'm really excited to use it. So I'm going to move quickly through the rest of it because you'll already know what all of it is. You will have seen it. This is an old house in town that's so gorgeous. One of the little snippet swatches, and I love how crinkly it is. I love it, love it. And I love that spritzing all of the envelopes and papers made them crinkly as well. Here's an little old bag that I attached, and I can hide something in there. This is some of the nice soft fabric out of that rag rug that I took apart in one of the tutorials that I will also link. I got so much out of that. It was so fun. Here's the one that's going to end up sticking out that we did, but it's totally fine. Another little tab of a small print, art papers, all of the beautiful envelopes, a shabbied up shiny magazine page, old wallpaper that I had scraps of, gesso here, layered goodies, washi tapes and things, watercolor stamped right onto the envelopes. The sky's the limit. Do anything you want with any papers you want, any receipts, anything. Dumpster dive, go through the trash, think outside the box. This is old wallpaper my mom gave me. I have a partial roll of it. It's so beautiful. So I've tried to really, I need to tape that. And I might put clear gesso over this because it's really old and fragile. So I tried to really reinforce it because it really just falls apart. But it's so beautiful. So here's an extra long piece. So I just folded it over. This is on the gel plate. There's a whole part of the 5 tutorials is also the gel plate. I'm using that from an old house in town. The brick, the old brick, and onward through. Here's a tiny little photo. Use your mementos, tear them up. Here's my envelope from my friend who has gorgeous handwriting. Gesso for a doodle or scribble or painting, or more of the scrap that was left after a tape pull. And we're almost there. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you love. Please let me know what you do. And like I said, one of my next videos will be showing how to actually use this as an actual commonplace book. So I already have it quite filled already. Here's a strip of scrapbook paper I couldn't pass up. Folded it over. Room for whatever you would like. A little tape pull transfer. Old art paper that I made. A flap because this piece of old wallpaper was too wide and I wasn't going to tear it off, so I just added some goodies. Tape transfer from a photocopy. And we made it. We're to the back side. So again, you can use anything you want for binding. You could use elastic and tie it at the top. You could use baker's twine. Mine is pretty loose, I'll need to adjust. But I love it, and it's soft, and I love the bouncy bits at the top. And I'm going to, I think after I tie it together with this pretty lace, excuse me, that it might squish down and settle down. We'll see. I'll be showing you. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this, if it'll go twice, and tie it. And there is the new one, the second one. So the sky is the limit. You can do anything you want. You can thrift book covers. You can make your own cover out of cardboard or a cereal box. You can do whatever you want. It's a free country. But isn't that fun? This old cute Reader's Digest. These are really fun. The ones that are older, they all have such cute prints on them. So now I just wanted to show you really quick that you could make a totally minimalist envelope commonplace book. So you open them up and you could use a letter opener. You can tear if you really like rough edges. So remember, you can make a tall book and fold it this way, or you can make a shorter book, shorter and wider, and fold it this way. And there are just so many amazing prints, and you can fold some in and some out, and new ones and old ones, all the junk. I love the inside of this and this, and I really love that. I literally gasped when I saw that in the trash, and all of these. And then so there's the bigger sizes too. So you can mix it all up, or you can collect all the bigger sizes like this and this and this and make a different size, or mix it all up. So you could do minimalist and only use plain things, like even just plain masking tape, and make a really monotone, beautiful commonplace book. And then one thing that I thought of and looked for to see if it would work, and I think it would for the right size, I thought of these continuous elastic headbands that could hold signatures onto a cover. And so the size that I just made, this is too tall, but you could make a cute bubble at the top, secure it, sew it, whatever. But these can make kind of a neat binding for a whole signature. And they come in colors. If you're lucky, I could only find black here where we live. So anyway, there are many options, sizes, ways. You could even use really big size mailing envelopes and make a big book. So the sky literally is the limit. And don't be afraid to dumpster dive, to beg your friends and neighbors for their junk mail envelopes. Some of them are absolutely gorgeous and floral and different things like that. So that, my friends, is what I've been working on and sharing tutorials for a long time. It's been a rough couple of years, so I haven't been very fast at it, but we are finally here. And thank you if you kept up with the tutorials and joined the final product. So I hope you make junk journals, literal, real junk journals, commonplace books. You could make it a whole art book. You could make it a recipe keeper. You could make it a book for a child to fill up. A really old-fashioned scrapbook where they used to just collect every precious little memento and glue it in. But enjoy, and thank you for coming along. And that is it for now. Don't forget, coming up is our living tapestries, and I have so many fun things coming, altering clothing. So stay subscribed, and I can't wait to see you next time. Don't forget I sell kits in my Etsy shop. My adorable assistant Francie Jo and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being part of our YouTube channel. See you next time. And don't forget to go dumpster diving. Don't be afraid. Do it.